welcome back to the No Excuses podcast. And I somehow think this one's going to be full of excuses, if you want to call them that. My name's Anne. I live in Worcestershire in England with my hubby, Tom, who's gone flying this afternoon. So it's just me and Bert, the smelly old dog. He is behind me. You see a hint of ginger there. He's been poorly again. I think it's been the hot weather, and as he's getting older, he's getting a more delicate tummy, but what can you do? He's still got a lovely nature, and I think he's still enjoying life. Certainly still wants his food. Anyway, how have you been? It's been a bit longer than I wanted it to be between podcasting, because I've been really tired. The hot weather knocked me about far more than I was expecting. So I was intending to podcast at the end of last week, and I just never got the energy to do it. It's not, the podcasting bit's the easiest bit, really, talking to you. It's the editing, and then you've got to upload, and some of that doesn't take me any time. I can let the computer chug away. But it's just getting my head around everything I want to talk to you about. So yesterday, I sat down and I wrote, I did a podcast, and then I edited it. I put it up onto YouTube. In fact, it wasn't yesterday, it was the day before. So on Friday now, so it was Wednesday evening, about 7 o'clock. Recorded a podcast, put it up yesterday evening, and immediately took it back down again, because I was wearing a yellow t-shirt and everything was really blown out. Now, to me now, looking at you, looking at the screen, I still look fairly sort of red and white. But sometimes what I see on here looks far better by the time it gets onto YouTube. And I'm not doing it again this time, so what you see is what you get. I haven't got the lights. You'll see the light behind me. I haven't got that put up today because Tom's not going to be here to take it down for me. And it does get in the way of the wheelchair when I'm trying to manoeuvre about and things. So, I'm here, and hopefully I'll talk slightly less feverish than I did yesterday on the podcast I recorded earlier in the week. So let's go, shall we? Less yatter and more natter. All the things I talk about, well, most of them, should be linked down below. And if it isn't and you want to know more, then please contact me. My contact details for email, Instagram and Ravelry are all down below. And I'd love to hear from you. We have 2 Makealongs. Bearing in mind they're not knit-alongs or crochet-alongs, they're Makealongs, so anything goes, that are running mainly in Ravelry, because that seems to be the easiest place to put things on. But you can enter via Instagram using the hashtags that are down below, but I will put them on the screen, or by email as well. So the first melt is the Something New in 22, which is going to run all year, probably till I don't know, I'm hoping to finish it sometime in November, I think, so that if I do need to get a prize out to post internationally, then I can get it just before the big rush, but we'll see. And that is just trying something different. So whether it's a technique, a new hobby, or whatever, advertise it in Ravelry, Instagram, or email me, and it will be entered into the Makealong. And the second one is the Bobalong. And the Bobalong is, you can make anything that's bigger than a dishcloth to put into the Bobalong. And if it contained bobbles and or scraps, you get an extra entry for both. So you can get up to 3 entries if you did a pair of socks, for instance, with a row of bobbles around the top, and it was made out of scrappy yarn. Okay? If you want any clarification, ask, and I might be able to help. So that's the Makealongs, and I think that's all the admin. So let's get into the crafting itself. Finishing. Now, I have, oh no, what am I wearing, sorry? I am wearing my Runway Tee and you can see if it's nicely on the neck. It's got this is made from Lithuanian Linen, the midwinter yarn stock in the UK. There might be other stockists, but I tend to use midwinter yarns. And I've made mine different because I've done mine in 3 colours with a different variety of stripes at the bottom. It's got wider stripes, and then I did a narrower stripe, and then I did rib not far after the armholes because it's knit from the bottom up in the round. And then the sleeves are a combination of short rows at the top in the greyish colour, and then you've got the what's called O'Donnell, do you like sea green, and the bronze green at the bottom of the sleeves. It's very, very loose. I knitted I think I knitted the largest size, and I kept going round and round and round. You've heard all this before probably, and now it's more like a tunic on me, so it's a bit longer than I wanted it to be. But I tell you, it's comfortable. It's very comfortable to wear. And it sort of sits between wearing a t-shirt, which is very sort of everyday sort of thing, and just feeling that little bit more dressed, if you know what I mean. Not dressed up, but dressed. So, yeah, I'm pleased with this. It needs a wash again. I've worn it a couple of times. But I'm going to wash it again to see if it softens. But I'm going to hand wash it because it did lose a little bit of dye last time in its first wash. So I'm going to hand wash it over the weekend and see if I get slightly... It's not uncomfortable to wear at all, although you notice I've got a t-shirt on underneath this today. So the colours, if you're interested in it, are O'Donnell, the bluey green, bronze green, which is very, very pretty. It's got a nice sheen to it. And then this greyish colour is putty. So, there we go. What am I wearing? My Runway Tee. Started last year, eventually finished. The dog is emitting the most foul odours. Sorry. He's had a bad tummy last few days. He was quite poorly yesterday morning, as in you could hear it gurgling through him. Don't know what we did to give him that. I'm going to have a drink before I choke. He won't leave me alone though, you see, because Tom's out, and he likes to be near one of us. But also he lies there when I'm doing my podcast anyway, doesn't he, most of the time. I've got Pepsi Cola today, Pepsi Max. Out to the fridge. Finishes. I have started. I started this when I last spoke to you. I finished my mother-in-law's Christmas cardigan. This is, let me show you the neps. You can see the colours in here. This is Woolcraft Shetland Tweed Chunky. It's got a little bit of wool in it, an acrylic. And this is the Berwick colourway. So I've knitted, I think I knitted the smallest size of the pattern. And what I decided to do is I've done an integrated front band. So I've done an 8-stitch front band here, and then it's a V-neck, so my decreases start after the front band. It does look a little bit loosey-goosey around the neck at the moment, doesn't it? Because I've done an integrated front band, and it caused bigger needles than you would have done, because I'm knitting it on the needles of the body instead of the needles of the rib, which are usually a size or 2 smaller. But I think once it gets filled out with the body in it, then it will be fine. It's not that bad that it's... Well, at least I hope it isn't anyway. The top button's come undone, so that's made it worse. But it's just a plain V-neck cardigan, chunky cardigan. It's got 2 patch pockets. And yeah, it took me a bit longer than the one I did last year, which took me 5 days because of the hot weather, which we'll talk about in a minute. But I'm really pleased with that. It's taken 400 grams, and I will give you the details of the pattern the details will be below. It's a king cole pattern. Just open my notebook, because you know me, I'm always thoroughly prepared. And it is a chunky cardigan, king cole 4703. But I'll put the link to, I'll put the name of it down below in case you're interested. Very easy pieced pattern, so you have to sew it up. Now normally I do my sewing using mattress stitch, because I find it stronger and it's very, very neat on the outside. So you can see you see that line there? That's the line between the back and the front. Now with mattress stitch you'd be hard pushed to see that, but because this is chunky, I decided to do it all with whip stitch. I'll show you the inside. You see the line there. You know me, I can't do close-ups. Oh, I'll give up. Anyway, it lies a lot flatter than the mattress stitch would. So I've done that on purpose to make it a little bit more comfortable inside. So that's my only finish. Now, if you've been with me for some time, and I have got a few more new subscribers, so hello and welcome to you. If you've just joined me, welcome to the very start-stop world of my crafting. I make no excuses for it. This is how I am. And for some reason, instead of getting more competent and more efficient and more productive as I get older, I've done quite the opposite. And I totally blame the vast choice of stuff that's out there these days, because it's difficult to decide what you're going to cast on next. It's difficult to decide if you've got a stash of any size, you know, or you want to buy, you're happy to buy more yarn, what you're going to make it out of if you have decided on a pattern. You know, it's just, and do you want to make alterations to it? So, with that in mind, right, we're going to talk about the top I showed you last time. I went through this book, the Rowan Summerlite DK book by Martin Story, and a couple of you said you went and sought it out and bought the book, and I hope you enjoy the makes. Now, the make I'm going to show you, which is what I've done the back of this. This is the Mistral jumper, and I'm going to do the largest size. Now you can see on the pattern, I can't put my finger on it for you, but if you can see that some larger holes going up that pattern, and that never occurred to me. I didn't really notice them on the photographs. And then I'll show you the yarn first. The yarn is Stylecraft Naturals. Oh, there we go, bamboo and cotton. And this is the pumice colourway. It is a greyish pink, I would say. It's definitely pink, which I don't think pumice is. Not the pumice my mum used to have when I was younger. I've done the back, and you know, that looks, it's summer here, so everything's blowing out a little bit, and there it looks very neat. I'm pleased with it. It's very plain on the back, no patterning at all. It's got a decent amount of rib at the bottom. So yeah, finished the back and then started on the front. Now the positive is that I've found that my confidence is growing a lot with using charts, and there are no written instructions for that lovely pattern on the front of the Mistral, but and it's all charted. Now I would say that if you are in the UK and you're buying a traditionally produced pattern, or you've got some old ones, then charts were rarely used in my experience, and I've been knitting since I was not a babby, but I've been knitting from a very early age, and probably reading patterns from about the age of 9 or 10. So patterns, charts didn't really come into it. You might have seen the odd one. So I'm pleased to say that my confidence is growing with using charts. It's probably just as well. I hadn't looked at the chart. I don't read patterns before I start on them. I just get on and knit, like probably most of us do. But those larger holes, I think of it as a bit like an owl's face. The larger holes that could have been the eyes, for instance, follow me here, are a 4-stitch hole. Now, I personally think that is a bit big to put on the front of a summer jumper that I would like to wear without a t-shirt underneath. You know, I do not want to flash the flab to that extent. I am no young teenager with a lovely honey-coloured toned body, you know. I am a fat old lady with more flesh than I need. I'm going to say floppy flesh, but that might be a bit too much for somebody. I don't like the thought of me having to wear another top. This is double knitting. It doesn't need any more weight with it. This, at least, is lace weight or light fingering weight. So it's not as heavy. Well, it wouldn't be if it wasn't so long. But do you know what I mean? I didn't want anything that... I didn't want anything... Didn't want to wear a vest top or another t-shirt underneath a summer top that I'd intended to wear on its own. I wish you'd go out, Bertie. You stink. So, I tried to, when I got to the second repeat, because you've got a chart that's got 3 pairs of this 4-stitch hole going up, and then you do obviously several repeats of the chart as you go up the body. Now, I thought, well, I could compensate for that, but because of the nature of the pattern coming out like that, those 4 stitches, you know, things grow out of that because that's the way the pattern's formed. So you've got increases there and probably decreases on the outside to make the pattern of the owl's face, as I called it, look nice, you know, and make it flow. And it looks like it's going round a corner slightly. And that's how lace works, isn't it? Now, I took this down at about 9:30 the other night because I tried to compensate for it. And in the end, I thought, why am I bothering when I have this lovely book called The Japanese Knitting Stitch Bible by Hitomi Shida. And I know some of you will have this. This is a glorious book. I have tried to use this book before when I knitted my Aran Weight Wensleydale long wool navy cardigan. But because it was long wool and because it was Aran Weight, navy more than being Aran Weight, it didn't really show the stitches up that well. So I did it in just a different lace pattern in the end. Sorry, burping because of the pop. You don't come here for finesse. I know you don't. You would still be here if you wanted finesse. Oh, I'm useless. So, I've chosen 2 patterns that I'm interested in. And if you saw my Instagram earlier in the week, I asked you what your opinion was. Because I'm intending to replace that central pattern on the Mistral with one of these 2. And I'm not going to look at any others because I've looked at the book a couple of times and I keep coming back to these 2 options. So, the first one has got the same sort of pattern, where a bit fountainy, where it comes out from the middle and goes round, and it's got some small bobbles at the side. And they've all got yarn overs in because they're lace at the end of the day. And if you look in the book, it says lacy patterns with bobbles or with leaves. So I've taken one from each. So that's the first one. And if you look on and I'll put it on the screen as I'm talking. And I quite like that. I think it's probably nearer. It is slightly narrower than the pattern. They're both narrower than the pattern on the original jumper. So, but I will do it as the picture suggests with the bobbles either side, and then you've got the pattern in the middle. And then the other one, let me just turn a couple of pages to go and find that. It's a bit further on, under the with leaves section. And the second one is more to do with twisted stitches. And this looks more like if I was going to put an animal against it, like a fox face. Can you see what I mean? And it's got plenty of eyelets there, but they're probably only yarn overs by the look of it. There's no even two stitch holes. So I think they'll be all right, but I quite like that because I really like twisted stitches, but I like the bobbles on the other one, and I'm not going to combine the two, although I could in theory. I could actually, couldn't I? I could take, the way this book works, if you're ever interested in it, I can't show you the charts, but obviously you get, you can see from the photographs I put up, they do a central pattern, and some of them have got side patterns, and you can mix and match them if you want to, and to suit your stitch count or anything. So yeah, it's worth having a look at mixing and matching that, I think. So I might actually do that. I might do a combination of the two. That looks like it's a 9. The first one is with the bobbles on is a 9 stitch border, so that would give me 18 stitches. And the other one is 6 stitches or 7 stitches. So actually I might do that. I might mix the bobbles with the fox face. What about that? Do you think that'll work? I'm not doing a swatch. Wait. No. Too complicated to do swatches. So, while I've been talking and you've been looking at the patterns, let me know. If you haven't commented on Instagram, I'd like to know what you think. I think I might just do what I said. That's just occurred to me as I'm talking to you. That's the benefit of having a chat with a friend. Even if they, not talking back at you at the time, you come up with different ideas, don't you, as it comes out of your mouth. Your brain is going, so that's good. Okay, so that's the, so that's what I'm going to do on the top, the Mistral top. I was knitting on it in the really warm weather last week. It's nice to knit with, and my hands were that sticky. I had like cotton fluff on them. You know, when you knit with mohair and you get a bit sticky, and you get mohair and you have to take it off. It was getting like that, but it doesn't seem to have damaged the yarn at all, so that's good. Right, on to the next thing. I shall be back any second. I've had to teach myself that when I want to stop the video, I have to stop talking before I press the button. I'm so keen. Right. When I ordered the yarn from Isle of Sweets for Kath's cardigan, the chunky, I also ordered some other chunky, and I've wound this up. This is the King Cole Riot chunky. It's very loosely spun. It's very similar. It looks similar to a singles, and this is the apple crumble colourway, and I'm knitting for the craft stall if we get a table or a Christmas gift, and I'm knitting this lovely scarf. You can see the colour changes that go on, and I've just started the second ball that I've just shown you, so it's going to be quite a long scarf. I did try casting on a few more stitches and making it a bit wider, but it looked like I was going to run out a lot quicker, so I've just stuck with the pattern and let people wind it 2 or 3 times around their neck if that's what they want to do. This feels lovely and squidgy. This is called the No Pearl Ribbed Scarf, and I'll put the designer and the details down below. It's free on Ravelry, and it's a slip stitch pattern. You can see, same on both sides, so it's reversible, which I like, and I sit there at night and just do it until I start falling asleep. It's been knitted on 9mm needles. These are my new Zings that I got from Woolstack. I bought them and a pair of 12mm for another pattern I was looking at, but I decided on this one in the end. And yeah, I quite like Zings. I decided to do had a look to see if I had any 9mm, apart from my straights. I could have got my straights out. I couldn't think where they were. They're in the wardrobe somewhere. Or they could even be in the loft. And I thought, no, I'll get some circulars, because there was something else I wanted to have a look at. Woolstack don't sell an awful lot of yarn. They're very good for needles and things. They do sell a fair amount, but they're not a big stockist. They don't do lots and lots and lots of yarn, like something like Wool Warehouse or Lovecrafts. But I found what I wanted with them. So I ordered the needles and I ordered a bit of yarn, and I got free postage, which is always very important to me. So I'm just going to, because I'm, you know me, I'm always in a mess. So excuse the scritching of the plastic bag. I just keep this in. I wish you'd go out, Bertie. You're a very smelly dog. If you was a child, I'd take you to hospital. And before I show you what else I bought from Wool Warehouse, and everything's falling down on me, the other thing I'm knitting on at the moment, before I start back onto the Mistral, is this little lovely, which is an asymmetric garter. Not very good at showing you things. You can see the colours changing. Garter shawl. And this is being made from the Curiosity Cake, yarn cake, again by King Cole, and this is a DK. And you can see, you might be able to see, it's getting towards the yellow bit, which is nearer the end now. And it's going to be a nice squidgy shawl, again, for the craft store. And I've really enjoyed knitting this, although I did sit there for too long in the same position going knit, 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 and I couldn't move my arm later. So let that be a lesson to me. I've got to keep my eye on that, because sometimes it stays with me for 2 days and I can't move, and it's not nice. But if it doesn't sell, then it can go to my mother-in-law, because this will be perfect for her, because she likes pastel shades. So this is, it's like it's blowing out a bit, but this is the Romance colourway, did I say? So yeah, I'm quite enjoying it. Very easy. It's good for when you're watching your murder programmes or podcasts. I am so far behind on podcasts that Sal asked me if I would. Tom started calling her Mad Sal. You won't mind, will you? Tom likes to put no Sal in Welsh Sal in South Wales. She said, tell me who else you watch. Well, it's been so long since I've been watching other podcasters apart from Ange and Anita. I mean, I haven't even watched Salma recently. I need to catch up with Salma with Little Big Knits. There's so many I need to catch up on. I've just been obsessed with watching crime programmes. I don't know why I find them so restful. It might be the reason why I end up with having bad dreams. So yeah, so that's on the needles, and I'm hoping to get both of those items finished this weekend. So it's Friday today. So well, I showed you a lovely little shawl I was making. It's my boutique bag that I made, and the zip works. And I was making it with, in fact I'm showing you the whole board, it's going to be a clue, isn't it? With this Pheasant, it's called Pheasant, the colourway, beautiful. It's got gold, purple and browns in it. And it's an alpaca, silk and cashmere mix from Lamington Lass. She doesn't appear to do the colourway at the moment. I don't know whether it's a repeatable one. But I'll put the photograph up here, or a couple of photographs up, of the shawl I was showing you last time. I was doing it to my own design, and I was doing it on 2.5 needles, so the fabric was quite firm for a shawl. Now I'd got about halfway through the ball, maybe to a third of the way through the ball, and I was onto the lace section, which for me was just a yarn over, and knit two together. But I realised that even blocked, the lace wasn't going to show up very well, And if you recall, the first thing I tried to knit with this yarn, this multicoloured yarn, was an Estonian lace shawl by Anakin Alice, which name I can't remember offhand. So I thought, I need to stop now because I'm going to waste my time, because this is barely going to go around the neck because of you wanting it to be firmer and easier on the needles. I don't like it when you've got a big difference between the width, the size of the yarn and the width of the needles. It makes it a bit jumpy, and I find that harder to knit. I don't know whether it's my lack of flexibility with knitting, or it's just a thing that happens. So I thought, well, ideally what I could do is finding something that to go with this to make it a bit bigger, and then I can do a bigger shawl on bigger needles. So I get on the merry-go-round, I go and have a look, because I'm looking for needles from Woolcraft. I go and see what they do, and I found miraculously that Malabrigo do a silk packer. I've got the label here. I did have the label here, can't see it now in my detritus. Do a silk packer, which is lace weight. And so I went and bought this colour. That's blowing out a bit. It is a bit more mellow than that. It is quite bright, but it looks very nice with that. And the two yellows together are very similar in real life. So I think I've got another 400 metres now. So I've got 1200 metres in order to make a lace shawl. But I'm not going to start it again because I want to get on and do my summer top and maybe another one while it's still summer. So I'm going to put 3 photographs of shawls up now, of the sort of thing I've got in mind, but I've got to remember that the variegated yarn doesn't carry a lace pattern very well. So I think the first one called Prust Bloom, and it's a scarf shape, rectangle with beautiful knot design in it. And then is it called Living Together? The second one. Oh, if I'm wrong, I'll put it at the bottom of the screen. I'll put it on the screen anyway. And I'll put a link to the pattern on Ravelry, which I quite like because it looks like I could use the yellow for the stripe and then the variegated yarn for the main colour. And if you're interested in that pattern, go and look at other examples on Ravelry. It does look quite nice in different yarns. And then the third one is a Boonit one. Is it Water's Edge, I think, is it? Now that is very ethereal looking. It's beaded, which I like. I like doing beaded shawls, but I'm not sure where I'd put the second colour. So I'm having a look at all those 3. If you've got anything that you think might work with those 2 colours, let me know. But it needs to be a lace weight, I think. So there we go. So that's been held back until I am ready to commit myself on it. Let's see. Right, now, so that was part of my incoming. I've got a couple of things incoming and we'll have a look at the rest now. Hello, welcome back. Right, we have got in my big Tudor Rose Crafts canvas bag. It was a prize I won from Ruth of Knitterarian when she used to design and knit. And what I've ordered from, which I told you about last time, was the Blackcurrant Bomb colourway. And I bought this from Ange of Yarn and Yarns, and it's a West Yorkshire Spinners signature 4-ply. And I've ordered 3 of these, and they're to go with the knitting or crochet ombre minis I showed you last time from Vicky Brown Designs, that I'm going to probably do crochet squares with, but I'm still undecided. And I think that is going to go quite nicely with those. So that's the first incoming. I'm going to put these back because, you know, as always, I'm sinking under. Putting everything where I can reach it is a hazard, really. It's a trip hazard to Tom sometimes as well, which he doesn't take too kindly to on occasions. You know, oops, all that fell down. Well, it fell down because you've got a teetering pile of things. You can see, you know, some of it next to me. I'm a fairly tidy person, but I'm quite happy to stack things on top of one another until, you know, they get to tipping point. So I'd ordered that, a couple of other things which I can't show you because they're going to be gifts from Ange. Excuse me. And then when I was ordering the silk packer and the zings from Woolstack, I ordered a second. I could have ordered this round actually. I ordered a second West Yorkshire Spinners signature 4-ply again in licorice, and this is to go with, you remember those little crochet squares that I made? I've only got 3 of them out of the rainbow minis left over from the litmus style cowl that I made probably a couple of months ago now. And the idea is, I've got one ball of the licorice, but I'm going to make some black squares with this. And the idea is I'm going to make a stained glass window style crocheted scarf. And that is either going to go on the craft stall, or I know somebody that would like that at Christmas time. And I'm saying nothing else, in case she watches. Yeah. And then, I don't know, on a whim, I'm talking to my friend Amanda about, I get carried away, I see what other people make, and I get carried away and I think I've got to do that. And then, you know, 3 years later I still haven't done it, but I've bought the yarn. I bought 3 lots of Cascade 220 from Lovecrafts, and I ordered it from Lovecrafts because I normally like to order from Runway House. I don't know why, but I do. And but I needed some t-shirt yarn for Tom to use to tie up the plants. The tomatoes are coming into crop now, into fruit, and they are getting really heavy, and they're not too tall, about 6 foot tall nearly, but they're getting heavy and heavy. In fact, we lost a big branch yesterday, probably lost 40 or 50 fruit, but we have got a lot of tomatoes coming, and rather than use a string that can sort of put pressure on the stems, I knitted with some really early t-shirt yarn a few years ago. Hated it because it ended up being like a super chunky weight, and I did it for myself, and like I had a giant string vest on. It didn't suit me. It was too heavy a material for me, for my height. So I undid it all, and I just left one ball behind for Tom. Said it'd be useful to tie things up with, and I gave the rest to charity. I never even wore the item. So you can see I've got a long history of failures, or try and try again. So yeah, I bought these 3 colours. I can't remember what it says they are. No, I won't look them up. Just to say, I mean, I'll tell you more when I start using them. But these are to do the Candy Bear by Mary Jane's Tea Room. So one of them is for the muzzle, and then the other one is for, in fact, that's the lovely, oh look at that, it's called Copper Heather, that one. But I think these two are too alike for me to use, one for the muzzle and one for the bear body. So I'm thinking I might have to order another colour. I have to make many bears, won't I? And that's the end of my purchases, apart from some black and white gingham that I bought from John Lewis. I've not done anything with, but you can imagine that. And then I had a rather nice gift. Now, I'm not going to mention who from because I haven't asked whether I can mention her name, but somebody who's very, very naughty sent me a beautiful, beautiful gift. and she sent me this Olan yarn. It doesn't list a colourway, but isn't that exquisite? I mean, I just absolutely love this colour. This is just wonderful. It doesn't look like it would suit me because, you know, I look all red and blotchy on my podcasts. I look all red and blotchy in real life, you know, but I put a bit of powder on today. But I don't know if it's made any difference. So this is 85% merino and 15% Donegal nep. And you can see it's beautiful. And I certainly won't be pulling the neps out of this one like I did on that big chunky cardigan. But, oh, this is gorgeous. Now, it's not going to go into socks without a doubt. I suspect if it doesn't go into a hat, because I haven't really got enough hats, it will go into a cowl. Because Mother and I, well, I say Mother and I, Mom is making me a jacket. And I'm not sure this will go with the green one. But if it doesn't, it's going to go with the green wool jacket. Possibly. That's gorgeous. So thank you, you know who you are. And she also included something else, which is even naughtier. But I can't show you. I won't show you. I'm not being mysterious. I'm just, you know, people are very generous, let's just say that. And I'm so appreciative. It's really kind of you. You didn't have to, but thank you. I shall accept with good grace after telling you off. So that's my incoming for the month, week, 2 week, fortnight. That's quite enough, isn't it, really? Considering I'm on a no-buy yarn. No, oh, I've got to do it next year. Every year I say I'm going to do a no-buy year. Right, so let's have a look. That's it. That's all about the crafting. So let's have a look at the time. I don't know where we are with timing because I've turned it on and off. Let's have a quick chat about what I've been doing in the last fortnight, and then I'll let you trundle off and do your own thing. If you don't want to hear about me gadding about, that's fine. So if you're leaving me now, then ta-da, I'll see you soon. But otherwise, let's have a few minutes chat. The last time I podcast, I think it was over the weekend, and on the Monday or the Tuesday, I was meeting my sister and sister-in-law, picking up Liz in Worcester, meeting them in Cheltenham, and we went shopping. We met in John Lewis and had a cup of tea, coffee, whatever. Went round a few shops, and then we ended up at Makealongs, which is a small chain. I'll put a link down to their website, and they are, well, they're called Makealongs Street Food, Indian street food, and the food, there's not a very good photo, but there's a photo showing the tiffin tins that were on our table that comes with the that you get your food served in. And what we did, and my sister's been before, so we took her advice and we ordered chap bombs. Again, I'll put a photograph of some of these things up, which were cold. I was expecting to be hot by looking at them, but they were like a shell, not too overly crunchy, but a delicate shell, and inside was spiced yoghurt. Oh, they were gorgeous. So we ordered 2 each of them. And then we ordered tamarind treacle or treacle tamarind fries, and they sounded very sweet. And Liz said, I don't want to, yeah, they don't sound nice at all, not with a savoury dish. But I'll try one. Oh yes, they're lovely. Now Juliet said, that's my sister, said that they'd been there before and sometimes they were a bit too sweet, which proves, you know, that they're making them fresh every time. But I'll put a photograph of that I found on the internet of the tamarind fries, and they're like they're cubed potatoes rather than long fries, and they were very nice, and they go with the other dishes. If you look at the Makealongs menu, it's divided up into different themes, like you've got curries, you've got dals, you know, and we tried lots of different things. We tried, not bang bang cauliflower, what am I thinking of? Anyway, what we decided to do, we ordered the tamarind fries, 2 breads between us, and then we all chose 2 dishes each from the rest of the menu. So there was quite a few. I mean, in all, 11 or 12 dishes on the table. and we ate them all because the tiffin tins are probably about 3 or 4 inches, 5 inches in diameter, and you get a good tablespoon each out of each one. So it wasn't like masses and masses of food. It defeated me quite easily, but it was nice. So we had vegetarian. I had chose a lentil dal, which was nice. There were 2 lamb dishes we chose, 2 and a chicken dish and a fish dish, fish curry. And I'm a bit dodgy about fish, but Liz said that was her favourite. And he said it was cod, and it did taste like cod. Because Tom and I have been talking about making fish curry. We've got the Mahogany Street Food book, actually. So we need to have a look at that. Make something out of it. But after a bit, when I put the curries, Juliet put all the curries on my plate at once, that were called curries, and I found them a bit samey after a bit, after a couple of mouthfuls, and I couldn't remember which was which, apart from you knew which meat was which. But yeah, I'd say it was a good success. We spent about 3 hours there and thoroughly enjoyed it. I'd recommend it. It didn't turn out very cheap, value for money, because we'd had cocktails and we didn't have any coffee. We shared a pudding, which I remember as being gorgeous, but was far too sweet for me. The gulum jalab, I think. My pronunciation is terrible. I like their disabled loo. I get full marks for that. It's in the brewery quarter of Cheltenham, which is a brand new development built around an old building, I think. And there's various restaurants there. We went to the Alchemist, I think, at the end of last year with my mum to meet Juliet. My sister lives near Oxford. So it's a good excuse to go out for a meal and meet them. To meet halfway, really. Cheltenham, sort of halfway-ish. I mean, halfway across, as the crow flies, would be in the middle of the countryside somewhere, so that's no good. But yeah, so we had a nice time there. And then I don't think I did anything else that week. Came back, went to Mum's, saw my mum. We did a bit of sewing, and this week I helped her apply for a passport, and the photograph's been approved that I took, thank goodness. Then last week, now we're on Friday at the moment, so the previous week, not this Monday just gone, the previous Monday and Tuesday were really hot in the UK, for most of the UK from what I understand. And it broke records, the temperature did, and you couldn't escape from it. Now I'm in our back bedroom, which isn't a bedroom because it's full of my stuff and our wardrobes. When you've got wheelchairs in the house, it makes a difference to how you use your space, unfortunately. So, but Tom actually lay on the floor with the patio door open and the back door open. The only windows we shut were the lounge ones because we weren't in there. And Bert got quite upset. He was all right in the day, but he seemed to get more upset because we were separated. We weren't in the same bed or even in the same room. And he was panting like mad on the bottom of the bed with me. And he'd go take himself outside and come back in. So we had a very disrupted sleep. And the second night, there was a very slight breeze which helped. But Tom said at one point, he woke up with Bertie like there in front of his face going, it's like, as if I don't want to get any hotter. The temperature was as warm at night than it would be during the day, and you'd be warm enough. You know, we're just not used to it. We don't have air conditioning in this country. We don't need it generally in our homes. If we won the lottery and designed our own homes, we'd have huge eaves to keep us cooler, if that's the way the weather's going to be. But thank goodness it's settled down since then. But on the Tuesday, the hottest day, I had an appointment with my doctor. And normally Tom would take me to the doctor's. It's only down the road. It's about a quarter of a mile away, and we'd go in my manual wheelchair, park the car. There's some disabled parking that doesn't seem to get used for some reason. Just a short way away from the doctors, which is for the doctors. But I said, no, I'm going to go in my power chair. Not this one, the one I take in the car with me. Because I didn't want him to shut up the house, and we didn't want to leave Bertie in the heat. So I went armed with my sun hat, and it kept blowing every now and again. So I'd have to keep taking my sun hat off, although the breeze was through my hair was welcome. Went down to the doctor's, had a chat to her about my painkillers. Nothing's really changed because she said the thing that she could give me would interfere with the stronger tablets I'm taking at the moment. So after about a 15-minute discussion and her looking up to see what other side effects were, we agreed that when I was really, really struggling, I'd take 2 of the stronger tablets and see how I get on with them. So, you know, opioid haze, here I come. I'm on the lowest dose of it, so it's not like, you know, I'm going to be totally spaced out. But I do find it helps you sleep better if you're in bed. If I'm up and about, I'm fine. But, yeah, it can give you heavy dreams sometimes, you know, not very nice dreams. So, anyway, I got back from the doctor's and I didn't realise how hot I was. And Tom had to peel my clothes off me because I'd been like sat back in the wheelchair, and of course the wheelchair's plastic or nylon, you know, and just so pleased to change my clothes. That really helped a lot to cool me down. And then on that night the weather slowly started to turn, and by the morning it was a lot cooler, but it's still quite sticky. We haven't had a lot of rain since then, not here anyway. So yeah, anyway, after that, Bertie got an upset tummy, so which he normally does in the heat, and it might be why he was like that again this week, although it's not been as warm. But yeah, so that's the story of what we've been doing. I went to Merry Hill on Monday with Elaine at short notice. I think I asked her on Friday or Saturday if she was free. Get out of the house really, and of course it's air conditioned, so it wasn't too bad. And we had, yeah, we were all right. The thing I objected to though is in Asda, and it's quite a big Asda down at Merry Hill. You know, it's not a super store, but it's quite big. They've got such big areas now for self-checkout. They've got an area for baskets and a larger area for trolleys. You know, and some of their trolleys are quite big, so you can imagine that area being cordoned off. And then they had 2 tills open, one of which was the wide aisle, which really they've got to keep open all the time. So I said to my friend, do we try and do scan and go? She said, no, I can't see it. So I've got Elaine, who's registered blind, who can see a little bit, you know, she's not totally blind, and me, who can't reach the scan and go. So we'd be going like up a bit, down a bit. No, oh, you pressed the wrong button, we have to get the man, let's go back, and all that. And I don't think they think about the problems that some people will have in dealing with them. But on the other hand, I assume that they've got so many there because they're popular enough to be used and to replace the tills that would have been along that run in the first place. But we had to wait quite a long time. We had to wait for a couple with their kids to go through with 2 trolleys before we could go through with our little basket. And I'm not moaning, but you know, people shop and they get to the wide aisle, but there are only 2 tills on. And now if you've been in Waitrose and there's been that queue, you know, because there's a person behind me with another full trolley, they would have opened another till without a doubt, because, you know, they're very hot on that sort of thing in Waitrose. Anyway, that's my moan for things like scan and go. It's not suitable for everybody. And then yesterday I went to Longbridge MS with my sister-in-law Naomi. I've got 4 sister-in-laws. Tom's sister, and then I've got 3 sister-in-laws. Naomi, who's married to my brother Ian, and they live locally to my mum. So we went to Longbridge, the big M&S there, and that was nice. We had a cup of tea, and then we went around the food hall. So yeah, and then I came home, recorded a podcast, or edited the podcast, put it on YouTube, and then deleted it. Do you know, it was so cool yesterday morning. I ended up wearing my soft tweed and mohair cardigan because it was quite chilly out. But I was boiling up by the time I came home. I couldn't wait to take it off. The weather, it's why we talk about it all the time in this country. And that seems a good a point as any to leave you on. So, you know where I am if you want to contact me. Thank you very much for watching. This will definitely go up come hell or high water, but you won't know that until you see it. I'd love to hear from you. get in touch if you've got any questions, any comments, even if it's just to say, do you ever finish anything? Why? Fair enough, fair comment. Take it on the chin. I'm going to go now. Take care, all of you. Look after yourselves, and I will speak to you very soon. Bye-bye.